Let's take a look at number 22. And it says determine whether or not matrix B is the inverse of matrix A. Well, first off, let's talk about inverses. If A and B are inverses, so we got a matrix A and we got a matrix B. They're inverses if, when you multiply A times B, that gives you the identity matrix, and you multiply B times A, that gives you the identity matrix. Now, the identity matrix, for example, a 2 by 2 is a diagonal of 1s, 0s everywhere else, and it's 2 rows, 2 columns. If you're working with a 3 by 3, then again, it'd be a diagonal of 1s, 0s everywhere else, like that. So it's very easy to determine if they're inverses. You just multiply them together. Now you have to multiply both directions, A times B and B times A. So let's go enter these into the calculator. We'll do it by hand, or by calculator first, then we'll do it by hand. So I'm going to go input these into my matrix. So do second x to negative 1, left arrow over to edit, enter on A, and it's a 2 by 2, rows by columns. So do 2 enter, 2 enter, and A is negative 7, enter, negative 6, enter, negative 9, enter, and negative 2, enter. Now after you get A input, exit out, do a second mode. Go back in your matrix menu, second x to negative 1, left arrow over to edit, down arrow to B, and enter. And it's a 2 by 2, so do 2 enter, 2 enter. And we got negative 3 over 20, so negative 3 divided by 20, enter. Negative 3 divided by 40, 3 divided by 40. Negative 1 divided by 5. And 3 divided by 40. Three by 40, yeah. Okay, then exit out. Do a second mode. Now let's multiply them together. So I go into my matrix menu, second x to negative 1. I do enter on A. Go back into my matrix menu, down arrow to B, press enter, and then enter again. And I get math, enter. Well, that changes in fraction form. Definitely it's not a diagonal of 1s and 0s everywhere else. What did I just do there? Was it A times B, I think? Yeah, A times B. So it looks like answer is actually A, 22A. Now they don't have B times A, because once you find A times B and it doesn't work, then there's no use for you to even check B times A. Well, let's do this by hand. A is going to equal to negative 7, negative 6, and negative 9, negative 2. And B is going to equal to negative 3 over 20, negative 3 over 40, negative 1 over 5, and 3 over 40. So let's go ahead and multiply A times B. I'm going to take row 1 of A times column 1 of B. So I got negative 7 times negative 3 over 20, and negative 6 times negative 1/5. Then row 1 of A times column 2 of B. So I got negative 7 times negative 3 over 40. Negative 6 times 3 over 40. Then I'll take row 2 of A times column 1 of B. So I got negative 9 times negative 3 over 20. And negative 2 times negative 1/5. And then here I'm going to have row 2 of A times column 2 of B. So negative 9 times negative 3 over 40, and negative 2 times 3 over 40. Well, negative 7 times negative 3 gives us 21/20. Negative times a negative is positive, and that gives us 6/5. Negative 7 times negative 3 is 21 over 40. Minus 6 times 3 is 18 over 40. Negative 9 times negative 3 is 27 over 20. And negative times negative is positive, 2/5. And that gives us 27 over 40 minus 6 over 40. Now really, at the point where you see it's not going to give you a diagonal 1s, 0s everywhere else, you could stop right there. I'm just showing multiplication, so you can see another example of that. Now I get a common denominator here, so this becomes 21 over 20 plus 24 over 20. Multiply top and bottom by 4. Now this already has the same denominator, so I go and subtract the top parts. 21 minus 18 is 3/40. Down here I want to get a common denominator, which would be 20. And multiply the bottom part by 4. You have to multiply the top part by 4. And this one has the same denominator. 27 minus 6 gives us 21/40. Okay, so 21 plus 24 gives us 45/20. And then this is 3/40, and that gives us 35/20. 21/40. Come back up here. 45 and 20 are both least divisible by 5, so that gives us 9/4. This is 3/40, and 35 over 20 is least both divisible by 5, so that gives us 7/4 and 21/40. And just seeing if I multiplied everything correctly. Yeah, I did. Since this is not diagonal 1, 0s everywhere else, then no, they're not inverses of each other. And the reasoning what is because of A.